Good evening, HR AfterWorkers. Welcome in the 10th webinar proposed by the HR AfterWork in Munich. It's already the 10th time that we get to meet virtually. So I am Marie, one of the two organizers, together with our dear Sushma, who isn't going to be with us, unfortunately, tonight. We are glad to start this interesting session. We have two guest speakers tonight, two very interesting speakers. So we have Petri Mikkonen, who is Microsoft Global Wellbeing Program Lead for EMEA and for LATAM, and who will be sharing his experience in building and running wellbeing programs and initiatives across the world. We also have Vincent Dupin, who is the founder of Into the Tribe and an enthusiastic supporter of Digital Detox, who will be talking about bad habits in technology use and explore with you best practices to connect in a healthier way.
Hello.
So, hello to the new joiners.
Hey.
Perfect. So, since June 2020, as I was saying, we are basically fully digital. So that's the bad news because we cannot have a drink physically all together. But the good thing is that we get to have colleagues from all around the globe. So thank you everyone for joining tonight. We got to choose a topic about well-being at work, but also hyperconnectivity tonight, as you will see. And some of the questions we had in mind and that we want to give you an answer tonight are: how do you build an holistic well-being program that is integrated to the employee experience, even when you do not have the necessary resources? How can you use technology and insights to deliver timely and personalized support to your employees? And how do you ensure your employees are feeling taken care of? And how do you personally get better digital habits and take back control on your work-life balance? So this is the program basically for tonight. Feel free indeed to turn on your webcam, even if you are having a bad hair day or if you're cooking or eating, it doesn't really matter. We are really in this casual mode tonight. And as I said, the webinar is recorded and I will make sure to share back the recording once I have edited it. And just for you to know, I will remove obviously any personal data that is appearing on the recording. So enjoy your time with us, and Petri, I give you the floor.
Thank you, Marie. And hello, everyone. Let me share my screen. Okay, so can you see it?
Yes.
Great,
Perfectly.
great. So, my name is Petri, and I work for basically two companies. And very interesting work, which I very much loved. So, I work for Limate, which is an employee experience platform provider, so tech company, and we're delivering well-being platforms for and programs for big corporates. And I'm working through Limate 100% at Microsoft, and I'm leading their program in LATAM and in EMEA, and been establishing local programs in different countries around the world through Microsoft, and working with their global benefits very closely, and well, hoping to share some of some of my learnings throughout the journey. I hope they're helpful, and maybe you get some ideas how to help improve the well-being of your teams, and maybe even your own well-being. So please feel free to interrupt me at any point, ask questions or anything if something comes up. And there's some of the slides are a bit content heavy, but we will be sharing them for you, so don't feel the pressure to read everything through. All right, let's move on. Good. So let's start from thinking like what is well-being, first of all, because it's a bit of a loose term. It's a new term, especially in many countries. What I live in Germany, and in Germany, well-being as a word might mean many different things than than it means in US, UK, and so on. So wanted to talk a bit about what do we mean, what do I mean with the well-being. At Limeade, we define it as well-being is that you're feeling good and you're living with purpose. So these two things. So it's not only the like absence of illness or being physically fit, but it's on the one side this feeling good element, so that you're doing good. There's no you're not feeling sick or feeling not having the energy to do things or being stressed all the time and so on. And then on the other side, there's the element of living with purpose, so that you have something meaningful in your life you're working towards, and something that you overall have a purpose in life. And then diving a bit deeper to other definitions, the most common you might have heard is the PERMA model from positive psychology. Martin Seligman, which defines it as it's the that we have positivity, engagement, relationships, meaning, achievement, and vitality in our life. And positive thinking that you're feeling like having feelings of positive feelings in your life, in your day, in your relationships, and so on. And all these elements together are building up the well-being. And I would like you to think now a bit like, as I defined well-being this way, how are you feeling at the moment based on these? How are you doing based on these definitions? Are you engaged in your life, in your work, having fulfilling relationship? Maybe this is not an area we're all striving or thriving at the moment. It's been challenging. How is your physical well-being, and so on? And what things are going well, and which things might not be going that well in your life? So take a minute or two to think a bit like, how are you doing at the moment? I wanted to encourage a bit you to stop to think. I do every single session I do at Microsoft. I do this because the value that I force people to stop to think for a moment. How am I doing? It is so valuable. It's really bringing giving us the moment to stop a bit and think, okay, am I doing really well now? Because we feel all the changes around us going on, and then we might forget to think, okay, how are we actually dealing with these difficult situations? But overall, well-being is a subjective feeling. It's very difficult to measure because it can be very different to all of us. But this is the the research, what it says behind it, what it actually means. What do we mean with that? So what has it to do with work then? We did run with our institute at Limeade, we have a research institute, run a study across the world. Countries like US, Australia, UK, and France, and so on were included. And we asked them, how is well-being impacting their work? And the responses were quite clear that it's really the well-being has a very strong correlation and impact on you, how you're working, how you're feeling at work. And it's overall, if we think about if we don't have those elements that that I just mentioned, it's really difficult to give our best selves to work. So we don't have the physical energy maybe to do things if we are our relationships are really struggling. We are struggling there. It's difficult to sustain your performance and so on. So it's really impacting heavily on how we are working and performing at work, and also outside of work. Then on the opposite side, our work also impacts then our well-being. So how we work, where we work, who we work with, and so on has a high impact on how we are feeling. And the main thing maybe is to understand the also work itself can be a very positive impact on our well-being, because unemployment is one of the biggest determinant of poor well-being. If someone is unemployed and gets job, this increases their well-being heavily. So getting work, providing work to employees itself is an act of improving well-being, helping to improve well-being. But in our study, 63% agreed that work has a positive impact on their well-being. So, which is if they are supported there. And again, work is the source of meaning for many people at my age, especially, and in any age. So it's fulfilling the other element, a part of the well-being. And then thinking of how did things change, like the past year, we asked people what has changed, like in your well-being. How did COVID impacted your well-being, and asked about their sleep and what kind of methods they might have used to reduce stress, and the results were really not nice. The number on the right, that top right, 72% of people self-reported feeling burnout. This is a number which is not very nice to see, and it's not only our study. It might not be that high number every time, depends where we ask, but it's still very concerning a number. Oh yeah, by the way, I need to admit the people new joiners, so there's some lights coming on my screen. So okay, thank you. So and we asked, like, people told us that they're sleeping less, sleeping worse, they're using more alcohol and so on to cope with things. And alarming was the number that responds that 54% are afraid of getting sick, and that this has an impact on their career and work. And this is not a good sign from the employer perspective. And then thinking the disconnect between managers and employees. The managers actually have been thriving. This was Microsoft research. Microsoft launched revealed study results from their survey asking about work-life balance and so on at Microsoft. And there was also this disconnect came that managers have been actually thriving in this new environment, these new challenges, changes, but their teams are not. So their teams are not feeling that their managers are caring for them. Not a good sign as we go to understand why managers are so important. But on the also at manager side, they are working more. And at Microsoft, they asked also how much people are working at the moment. It's not only managers who are working more, but it's overall like 1 to 2 hours a day have been added after people entered remote work. So I think this team is showing everywhere at the moment, especially who are working in the tech and remote environment. As I can admit that I've been in my answering emails and Teams chats and so on late in the evening, so which is not a sustainable way. And I would like to ask you, what kind of challenges have you or your teams faced this year, considering well-being? Do these numbers or these results sound any familiar to you, or is it completely different experience for you? Yeah, thanks for sharing. And it sounds very familiar, and what I hear a lot as well. And this is people. It's funny to hear people say, "I miss my commuting in the rush hour and in being in the busy full bus and so on." It's funny to hear, but it's a transition from the work and to do your life kind of outside of the work. So it's really the main thing is, like, no one really knows the answer for this. It's new for all of us, so we need to together as employers, HR employees, we need to find a way. We need to find together, like, what are the barriers, what are the ways that we can sustainably work this way so that we don't exhaust anyone in the process. So it's a learning journey, and but a great opportunity for all of us, but requires a bit of thinking from all. So talking about employers, like then asking employees, like, do they feel care that the organization is caring about themselves? And 40% agree, 15% strongly agree, but the rest are not really favorable. So we are doing quite okay, providing care to the employees and support, but there's a long way still to go to that we are helping everyone. So it's not nice to see these red parts pieces being so high there. So we have still work to do. And I hope I can provide some ideas what we can do. But why is it so important then for business as well? It's a topic in HR. We know it's important. Employees are saying it's the resources help, they need care, but leaders might not always agree. The business thinking number thinkers might not agree. But it's quite clear that when we look behind it, what is the impact to business? So first of all, engagement, employee engagement, it's way higher on those who are feeling cared for. Then being having well-being in their life overall is way higher for those who feel cared. They feel included, so inclusion, that they are being cared about through their managers and employer. Is planning to stay at the company, 60% versus the 7% to staying in 3 years in the company, and 91% versus 9% are saying that they would recommend their organization as a great place to work, if those who feel cared and those who feel not. So it has a strong correlation to many of these numbers. And then also, of course, it's difficult to show like the impact of well-being in the business results as in the actual numbers. This is trickier. We at Limeade, we are working hard to try to find ways to show this, but these are some of the ways that research help us to show the value. Okay. So how are you then doing things? What are the impactful things? What you can do, and is it only the employee who needs to do something, or is it you, or is it both? We think it's both. It's the employee itself. They have a responsibility. HR or employer or manager, they can't do everything. So the employee themselves need to take action in the end. So an employer can provide an environment which supports well-being. They can give resources. They can educate their managers and so on. And the strongest drivers of better well-being at work are the manager support. This is number one. Tools and programs, so benefits, and then number 3 is leader support. And these are the main elements which need to be in place to that a program works, and then employees really are feeling being cared of. And well-being is it's often living in benefits. In big corporates, it's lives in benefits, and this is the traditional thinking. It's wellness. There's provided fitness, nutrition, coaching, maybe financial benefits, and so on. But well-being should be everywhere, and it's everywhere. And it's an integral part of the whole employee experience. So when we think about well-being, we use the term care because this describes best the feeling. Like an employee is feeling well-being, that they're when their employer cares for them. And care you should feel throughout the employee experience. And employee experience is not only like the big transitions when you join the company, when you get promoted, and so on, but it's in the every single small moment throughout your work day. So well-being kind of should be living everywhere. And it's good to get to know. I don't know how familiar you're with the employee experience term, but this is just Microsoft announced their Viva platform. Oracle entered their employee experience game. So this whole industry is expanding like crazy at the moment. So there will be a lot of offerings coming through this. Limeade will be one of those, hopefully for longer, we see. Good. So what is Limeade then offering, and how are we using technology to create programs to support the well-being of employees? So we do it through one platform. We are integrating all these elements, engagement, inclusion, well-being in one place, because we don't think only well-being program alone can be so impactful. So it should be integrated to all the other like diversity, inclusion, and in engagement initiatives, learning development, and so on. and how we then do it in practice is that we understand that employees have very differing needs and differing circumstances, and these needs and circumstances change, as we've realized the past year. Our needs, individual needs, might be very, very different all the time. So we need to measure somehow what is the well-being. We need to understand the needs. We need to understand the usage of benefits and resources. We need to measure the results. Is the program making any different? Then we need to ask the employees qualitatively, is it really helping you? And what do you like about it? What is it that helps you? And so on. And then we need to adapt. We need to, based on these, to adapt. So when we offer a program, platform, and initiatives, we are measuring participation, registration, and so on, these basic metrics, but we are also looking at the habits, like well-being. How has the well-being improved throughout the time? So we take a well-being assessment either yearly or half yearly, and then we send pulse surveys asking a few questions on certain items, and we follow the change, like how employees changed their behavior, or if they improved their assessment results based on taking action. And our research institute is looking at these results and providing then guidance. What are the actual drivers? It's sometimes a bit surprising what are the actual drivers in the end. It's not always that easy. So it's you need to know how to read the data as well. There's only data itself doesn't help. So the well-being assessment is our main element to understand the well-being. It's based on this, how we define well-being. And there's also, we ask questions around engagement, inclusion, and so on. And then we connect with the companies to really ask how are your internal numbers changing. So, but we can also measure turnover. We are measuring burnout rates and so on. So this is how we try to really understand it, make it. And on top of that, then it's not enough to just provide something, provide activities. You need to be able to target them really correctly, because there's different needs in different, like I work at Microsoft, the needs in Middle East, in Dubai can be very different than they are in Germany. They can be very different in China than they are in US, and so on. So we need to be able also to target. And then communication. How do you communicate to that the people know about the resources? This is a big problem. Like you can offer everything, but if people don't know about them and don't hear about them when they need them, they won't be using them. So it's a kind of waste of resources. So it's complicated. It's not easy, and we try to bring everything into one place that you can do it at one spot. Okay, so then we thinking, I'm going to my experiences, want to share from my experiences at Microsoft. There's different countries, very different resources, different situations. Some have had very strong programs for many years. Others had nothing in place. Others don't even know what well-being means. It can be so different. So it's been an interesting journey to start implementing things. We are providing a global program, but then also doing things locally. And I go through two different scenarios, from the top-down approach also, and then to the bottom-up approach, how you could do both of these. So first of all, the leaders need to be on board, and managers need to be on board. Not only the senior leaders, it's not enough if the very top is supporting, but if the middle management is not on board, somewhere the message gets lost and priorities changed. And so efforts need to go there to ensure that the support is everywhere. It helps leaders when you're building a value proposition, telling them why it's important. You're finding a leader who's interested, personally interested, and then making it super easy for them to join and super easy for them to sponsor an initiative or a program or something. Say, hey, you just need to do this small thing and put your name this, and it can be such an easy action. And but we need to make it easy for them, and then showing the impact of these initiatives you did, and then propose a follow-up initiative. It's not on top of the mind of every leader. I very well have seen this. Some leaders really value it and are really supporting it, but it's not. But it should not be the case that it's based on individual leaders' willingness to support. It should be systemized. Yeah, like then. The org support, like we say, this is going into the deeper than just providing benefits and so on. Thinking how are employees working, how do they are managed, onboarding, what are they learning, and so on, and thinking through other processes. How is well-being present there? How are these other processes and work habits impacting their well-being? Thinking through that, like how are they working as a team? How are they setting boundaries? Setting goals. Goal setting at the moment might be what I heard. It's really, especially in tech, when there's all the opportunities in the world, goals are set very high, but we might not be thinking what is the impact of such goals. And one action is also not always adding something, but how can we remove something which is disturbing employees or bothering them or lowering their well-being in the day? Is it a meeting on Friday evening, 5 p.m. or what is it? And then thinking in bigger corporations, especially maybe smaller as well, can you provide everything centrally? Is this even a feasible thought, or is it better to build a more flexible model and provide just some resources to locals, give some education, and then let them choose what kind of support they are giving to their employees? It's not easy, I can tell you, to find global providers or give everyone the same benefits and expect that everyone would be benefiting from there. And Mari, give me if I'm running too late, then hurry me up. Good. Then of course we need to offer resources, but again, it's interesting to see some countries at Microsoft who have really strong programs. They offer anything you can imagine, but not too many things are actually being used. This is like, it's like, well, why are we providing all these? Well, we need to provide things to attract talent and so on, and maintain talent. But again, where is the limit? It's not more is not better. Often one very well designed targeted initiative or can make way bigger impact than all these resources. Of course, we need to provide the basics, EAPs and so on in big corporates. But on top of that, what is beneficial? What are employees really benefiting from? So challenging this thinking, understanding needs and targeting based on those needs, communicating clearly with some sort of a call to action. We've done mistakes promoting campaigns, promoting new resources, and then there was no call to action really for them to go and try it, and everyone forgot about it. It's so clear call to action. And then people find it. They go and try it and see it if it really helps them, and then they go recommend it to their colleagues and so on. And there needs to be reminders throughout the journey when people are onboarding, when they are getting manager role throughout the year, reminders in different places throughout the experience of the resources they are available, because we are not good always going looking for the resources when we would need them. We need reminders. We need nudges to, hey, okay, then now it would be actually good to call the psychologist that we are offering. So reminders throughout. And then interesting, and really the most difficult question is, how do we help those who need the most help? This is, if someone has the answer, I can give you a big pile of money, because this is the question many have been trying to solve. Like, how do we help those who really, really need the help most? Because they don't usually seek for the help. They don't seek for the resources. We kind of have this kind of self-selection survival bias, like when we are assessing well-being, those who already are doing well and are fit, they are the ones who are responding most. They're the most active users. And I don't know if it's meaningful to target most of the support to them. But it's difficult. It's really difficult. How do we get those who need the help to respond to surveys, to health assessments? How do we get them to use the offerings? Not easy, but this is the thinking. Are we helping just those who are already fit, or are we helping those who need the help? And are we ensuring care to everyone at every stage of their employee experience? Is it everywhere? Is it in the manager discussions? Is it part of meetings? Is it, or is there more things that show like that we are not caring, like pressuring employees and so on? What is it that they are feeling throughout their days at work? And an important thing is to start where your organization is, start where your employees are, not where you wish them to be, not where you not starting from like this would be the best program ever, and then implementing it, but it's not based on the needs of your employees, or giving managers and leaders all the resources, but they're not really there to comfortable of sharing these or promoting these or supporting these. So what is the place you are at, and starting from there. Any questions from that? Okay, let's go then to my favorite topic, bottom up. No resources, building a program from nothing. It's been fun. It's because then you get to work with people who are really passionate, people who love to do things, people who really want to make an impact and are volunteering. So the main thing there is to find the like-minded people and get them together and form virtual teams, either establish champion network or creating a community on Teams or whatever the platform is, and giving them a platform to come together to discuss and share how could we improve well-being within our teams, how could we do some initiatives, how can we help well-being in our organization. In one country at Microsoft, it was an interesting journey because there was a change of a leader, and then suddenly we got the go from HR that you are allowed to launch an employee community, and this community was launched by one of our champions, it was just wasn't part of her role, but it was she was interested in the topic, doing some online courses, Coursera courses on positive psychology, and she launched this all, and it's thriving now really well. And now they are getting more and more support from the leaders, managers. There's individual leaders coming and sponsoring their monthly teams, and so on. So it's really, and I've seen other examples like this from our champions, what they are doing. And it's interesting that some of the champions actually ended up being well-being program managers after doing things in their first for their teams, and then for a bit bigger the department, their org, and then suddenly they're well-being program managers. So it can end up get anywhere. So we need to encourage the people who are passionate about well-being, who want to help to do this in the company. And then with the groups, help them to find, or together find the low-hanging fruits. What are the easy actions we can do? What are easy items? Like I said, is there something what is disturbing the employees, like a meeting at the wrong time, or too many emails, or what is it that where we can start from, a low-hanging fruit, or too many meetings overall? Can we reduce them? Take away from Friday completely, or what is it? And then thinking through well-being lens, the existing processes and practices, anything what we do, thinking like how is this thing, this process impacting employees? How is it making them feel? And overall, anything is better than nothing. It's I understand in many companies it's not a priority, but having something is better than nothing. And then encouraging the teams to look at their work habits is this is, like I said, in this case at Microsoft, this was one of the teams to look at how are these how are you working together, and what is working well, what is impacting your, how are you feeling, how are these things making you feel and care for. And starting small as a group, showcasing the demand for these initiatives. If you launch something, and then showcasing the demand for it, highlighting the success stories, and showing the value to leaders, it's really difficult for a leader to say no anymore. And we are actually we're going as far with our champions that we are building also the whole global well-being strategy together with champions. So we are involving now everyone to the process. So it's the power of a champion network can be really high. When you find the right people, you give them the tools, you give them some education, and that sometimes it starts from 2 people, 1 people, then it grows up to hundreds of people. But it's the power of passionate people can be understated. Okay, good. Some ideas to end with what you can do, like activities to start with. I would like to highlight a few. We had a very highly successful team challenge at Microsoft. We decided, we were thinking what kind of a global team challenge could we do to encourage people to team up and work to do something together that helps their well-being. And we wanted to be inclusive. This is a big topic at Microsoft, inclusion. So we included anything what helps, supports you physical or mental well-being, or exercises your body or mind was included. So team challenge with minutes. So you could add any minutes, either playing a guitar, going for a walk, going for a hike, doing meditation methods, all could be included. And this was really successful. And the stories we got from this were the best thing, because we help people to understand it's not about being super fit or something, that this is well-being, but it helped them understand that the small action of taking a moment with your partner and going for a walk can make a big impact, have a big impact on their well-being. So it's all about these small daily actions that make the difference. And getting people together in a competitive company like Microsoft really encouraged this. We had some rewards and prizes for the winners, and we rewarded participation overall. So it wasn't only about who did the most minutes, but it was overall participation and creativity and so on. Like I said, leader-sponsored activities, teams, is always powerful when you get the name or face of a leader to support some sort of an initiative. Is great. And then for managers, thinking about how they are supporting their teams to craft their jobs, like to remove things that don't help them to do their best job, and so on. So thinking a bit deeper, also not only about providing the yoga and fresh fruits. This is still, we need to do this. And for many, we should, it helps, and it's very good. The yoga is very beneficial. So this is also not prohibited, although we joke about it a lot but yeah, for many it still helps. All right, I think that's what I had for now. Bill, any thoughts, questions, anything that came to your mind? Anything what really was didn't land well, or you think, no, this is not how it works here? Or because it's always in Germany, I know in many companies, well-being is not on the first thing the leader would support. But happy to hear any questions or thoughts.
And I guess it's a good introduction to your topic, Vincent, because you are actually part of the initiative that we should bring to the company's employees and managers. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say about hyperconnectivity.
Thank you very much, Marie. So hello, everyone. My name is Vincent Dupin. I am the founder of Into the Tribe. Sorry in advance for my French. For my English, sorry, because I'm French, so I don't have a perfect English, but I will try to do my best to be understandable. So basically at Into the Tribe, we are talking a lot about digital detox, but also about digital use. And especially nowadays, a lot of people are working in remote, and it's very hard to take the control on our digital habits. So to just let you know what we are doing right now at Into the Tribe, we are doing basically a lot of workshops concerning digital uses, but also time management, how to reduce your stress level, how to be more creative, how to focus on your deep work. We try to help all the workers on their day-to-day remote work, but we also try to help them to increase their well-being at work. So that's why it's very interesting to talk today with Petri, because we try to give them the opportunity to play on some kind of team building activities. And also we are providing our clients some really inspiring talks from adventurers or sailors, or like a lot of really interesting people. And I am also a trainer. I'm doing training concerning time management and digital uses. And sometimes I'm happy to be a speaker, especially before when it was the time of big conferences and big show. Now it's more like online talk, but this is very interesting also. So today I will talk about digital detox, and I would like to start with a small game. A few years ago, I did a really nice road trip in Asia, and I was traveling in kind of lost places around the world. And here it was in Laos, in North Laos, in Yang Trao, a small city in North Laos. Here on these pictures, I was in India, in the Himachal Pradesh Valley in Himalaya. And here I was in Mongolia in the Gobi Desert. And these three places have a common point. What do you think is it? What is the...
No internet access?
Yeah, no internet.
Yeah, exactly. No internet access. The people who are living there doesn't have internet, doesn't have any mobile phone. They have like a post office, but they are not connected to internet. And it's really amazing to think that nowadays there is a lot of people around the world who are not connected to the internet. And we are living in Europe, and most of us are spending a lot of hours in front of the internet, in front of screens for our work, but also during our personal life. So I would like to show you today Why is it so important to talk about digital detox? Why should you disconnect more in your day-to-day life? The first answer of this question is that because we are spending too much time on the internet, in front of screens, and we have a word for that. The word is hyperconnectivity. For example, UK adults spend an average of 8 hours, 41 minutes a day on screens. To let you know, the global average is around 7 hours. And of course, when we are talking about a worldwide average, we are not talking about the people I showed you before in India, in Laos, or in Mongolia. So we are spending a lot of time in front of our screens, and it's more and more every year. But last year it was like a huge increase of our time spending in front of screens. Of course, we are working remotely. We are sometimes staying at home all day and all night. And after work, we are also watching some TV shows on Netflix, or we are also going on Instagram or TikTok or other social networks. This is a very interesting studies about digital uses around the world. This studies was done in April 2020 by We Are Social and Outsuit, and it shows that really interesting fact. I mean, you can see that 60% of the worldwide population is connected to internet. So it means that 40% of the population doesn't have any access to the internet. It shows also that approximately 50% of the population use social media, and 66% of the worldwide population is using a phone. And I mean, when I say phone, there is smartphone and dumb phone also as well. So just to introduce this small talk, I would just like to remind you that all around the world, some people are living totally disconnected. And if you see the history of internet, it's like a very short history. I mean, we are using internet since 1997 or something like that. Like it was the beginning of the large public internet. We are using also our smartphone since 2005. Yeah, sorry, 2005, 2006, something like that. Because before we had the Blackberries, but we didn't spend so much time on it because it was like not designed and very boring. But yeah, so we are really connected to the internet since approximately 20-25 years, and it's like a very, very small history if you take the big human history. And this hyperconnectivity shows a lot of problems, especially during work, but also during our personal life. And the three main problems, I think, are infobesity, blurring, and multitasking. Let's take the infobesity first. Infobesity is a contraction between information and obesity. And it means that today we are receiving too much information, and our brain has a lot of difficulties to understand, to work on this huge amount of information. Just to give you a recent study shows that we are receiving now 10 times more information than the 90s, than before we are using the internet. So, but at the opposite, our brain is still the same for ages. I mean, we have a brain of Homo sapiens sapiens. It's a whole brain, even if it's a really, really interesting and really, really advanced brain. We have a whole brain, which is the same since 250,000 years. So, and it takes millions of years to be this kind of brain. So you can imagine that our brain is not changing, but at the same time is receiving like 10 times more information, and he has a lot of troubles, a lot of difficulties to understand and to treat all of these informations. I can give you some figures, like for example, an average adult in the UK checks its smartphone 150 times a day. Sometimes it's just to see the hour or just to see a message, but then you are opening Instagram or you are opening Facebook and you spend like 3 minutes or 10 minutes on your mobile. In France, for example, an executive is receiving 90 emails per day. And when I'm talking with some manager or founder of companies, they told me that they're receiving like more than 150 emails or 200 emails per day. And imagine how many information you're receiving every day. It's like it's coming from everywhere, from your email, from your Teams, from your Slack, from your WhatsApp, from Facebook, Instagram, and so on. And it's really, really hard for your brain to treat all of these informations. The second really big problem is the blurring. So blurring is coming from the word blurry, and it means that the boundary between the personal and the professional life is more and more blurry. And especially now that we're working remotely, it's really hard to make a real boundary between the personal and the professional life. It's like you are working on the deep work, on a very important project, for example, and you will take your mobile phone and go to see what's happened on Instagram. So in this case, you are doing personal tasks during your professional time, and at the opposite, when you are I don't know, like on Saturday afternoon, you are checking your mobile and you are going to your professional email address and you are watching some professional emails. And in this case, you are doing like professional tasks during your personal time. And it's like really, really hard now to really have a limit between pro and personal life. So this is one of the big problem today. And that's why we are talking now about a new right, which is the right to disconnect. We are talking about it in France, but I know that now we are talking also about it in the European Union. So we probably will hear more and more about this right to disconnect, because now the governments are trying to give a limit to this problem, to the blurring, and they try to put in the social law, in the work law, and try to encourage all of the workers to try to stop working during the night, the weekend, and the holidays. Because a lot of studies shows now that when you don't stop to work during your holidays or during your weekend or in the evening, maybe you will be more you will have a bad luck to make a burnout later. So so this is a really, really important topic. And a really important topic as well is the multitasking. We try to do several tasks at the same time because we think that it's more efficient. So we try to listen a meeting, but at the same time we are writing an email. We are sometimes on the phone, and at the same time we are reading an email. And we think, okay, if we are working like that, we will be like more efficient. The work will be finished earlier, and we can is that our brain is not really efficient when it's doing multitasking. Let's make a small game together. And our brain is very good to do one thing, stop, and do another thing. But if you ask your brain to do two things at the same time, it will not do it at the same time. It will go from one task to another task really quickly, and it will be like a lot of energy, a lot of difficulties for your brain. So there is also other problems we are related to hyperconnectivity, and especially when we are working remotely. So there is the nomophobia. Nomophobia is coming from no mobile phobia. So this is a real phobia. For example, in Paris, there is a really famous hospital, which is Hôpital Pitié-Salpêtrière, which study all kind of phobia. So there is some rat phobia, spider phobia, but also no mobile phobia. And some people, when they forgot their mobile phone at home, for example, they are starting to cry or to scream, and they are panicking. And so this is a real phobia. There is also the compulsive checking. We can see the compulsive checking every day. So you can see on this picture that the guy here is looking at his smartphone and probably is scrolling his Facebook feeds or his Instagram feed or news feed or all kind of feed he can, and it will have a big impact on his night, because when you do compulsive checking before sleeping, you will have more trouble to sleep. And it could be like also in the company, it could be like a business, an executive who is sending a big proposal to his clients, and he will go back. He will go back every 5 minutes on his email box to check if he doesn't have an answer from his clients. And this is not productive, because as you know, like clients answers when they want, and he lose like maybe a lot of time checking his email box, and it's time lost for his next presentation. There is another problem, and the name of this problem is oversharing. It's like when you share all the things you do. Basically, this affects a lot the youngest generation. I'm sure you know people like that, like who they are going to holidays, and they will share pictures of their meals, of the monuments, of themselves at the beach, of their feet at the beach, like everything they can sharing, they share it. And it happens also in work. You can have some workers who are sharing everything on Twitter or on LinkedIn. So the problem of oversharing is like when you don't have some answers from your contacts, it could be a bit disappointing. And the last problem, which is really important also in companies, is phubbing. So phubbing is a contraction between phone and snubbing, and it means that you are snubbing your friend or your workmate because you are looking at your smartphone. And you can see on this picture, I hope we can see a lot of restaurants picture in the next few weeks, but you can see this all the time. At the restaurant, you have one person which is annoying because the other one is on his smartphone, or sometimes both of them are on the smartphone, and sometimes you have the parents on the smartphone and the kids on the iPads, and I wonder why they're going to the restaurant anyway. But and you can see this kind of situation a lot in the companies, especially during meetings. It could be like meetings online or meeting offline, but it was like really a big trend during meetings. So you have one person who is talking, who makes a big presentation, and in front of him, he can see like a lot of people who are doing their emails on their smartphone or other stuff on their smartphone, and it's like a kind of phubbing situation. So all of this has a lot of consequences on our health, but also on our quality of work. And we were talking about well-being, but I'm sure that the hyperconnectivity is decreasing the well-being at work, because it creates a lot of stress. First, when you do, sometimes you feel at the end of the day, okay, I'm very tired. I think I didn't do a lot of stuff today, but I'm tired. I don't understand why. It's the kind of day where you receive a lot of information, and also you probably make a lot of multitasking. So if you are really tired at the end of the day, probably if you try to remember what task did you do during this day, probably it would be like a lot of multitasking task. But there is also a lot of troubles related, for example, to creativity. We are now facing a lack of focus and a lack of concentration. It's huge because we are all the time we receive all the time notification, message, emails. So we have a lot of distraction, and it's really hard to be focused at work nowadays. It's like you can see, like all the time during your work, you are working on deep work, you try to be really focused, and paf, you receive a notification from an email or a Teams pop-up, and sometimes, most of the time, it's not really important. It's less important, I mean, than your deep work. And the problem now is that most of the workers are never focused at work. Some studies shows that an executive is interrupted during his work every 10 minutes. And other studies are showing that we need about 23 minutes to get our focus back after being distracted. So this studies is from the University of California, but there is also other studies which shows that it's 12 minutes or 9 minutes. But anyway, it's like a lot of wasting time during your work day. Of course, there is also a lack of social interaction because when you are doing a meeting, especially an online meeting, because we are all spending a lot of time in front of online meetings today on Zoom, Teams, and Google Meet. But of course, if you are doing an online meeting and you are at the same time doing emails or answering on Teams or other multitasking stuff, you will have a lack of social interaction. The communication will be like weak because you don't listen to the people who speak, and it's a problem now because we are all working in remote. And when I'm talking to my trainees, they told me, what can I do? I'm spending all of my day in Zoom doing meetings, so I don't have the time to do emails, and I don't have the time to do deep work. That's really like I'm really shocked about how the deep work is it's like it's disappearing from the work of a lot of workers. So it's like there is a lot of problems concerning overconnectivity. And for the worst case scenario, don't forget that overconnectivity can lead to burnout. And also, if you are addicted to social network, it can lead to depression. So it could have like really serious health issues. This is a very interesting study from the University of Pittsburgh, which says that participants who reported most frequently checking social media throughout the week had 2.7 times the likelihood of depression. If you watch this study, it's like when you spend more than 1 hour per day in front of a social network, you can have 2.7 times the likelihood of depression. So it's not a huge amount of time on social network, but the consequences and the health issues are big. Okay, so I think that I exposed the problem, and I'm sure you are really aware about the overconnectivity way of working that we are all facing now. I would like to make a workshop with you today, and I would like to have your feedback about this question. How do you take back the control on your email box? What kind of solutions can you put in your day-to-day work to get better email uses? Okay, so I would like to give you like 3 minutes. Please think about this question. Try to write some solutions. If you can write it on a piece of paper, it could be good. It could be like really a digital detox way of working. And let's talk in 3 minutes, and I will be glad to hear all your solutions. So thanks a lot for all of these great solutions. I will try to give you some tips. So my time is a bit limited, but I will try to give you like perhaps 7 to 10 tips to get better digital habits. When I'm doing like some trainings, we have a lot of tips. We are probably like 100 solutions, tools, and tips, but my time now is limited, so I will try to give you like some of quick win tips. So first, I would like to encourage you to do more digital detox, especially during your personal life, because we have to now work a lot in front of computers. We have to work remotely, so it's hard to do a digital detox meetings right now. It's hard to work offline, even if we could sometimes work offline, especially when we are doing deep work. But we can have like a lot of digital detox moments during our personal life, especially during the evening or the weekend. I really encourage you to stop screens, to leave your smartphone and your computer at home, and perhaps go for a walk, or do a cooking with your relatives, or try arts, or read a book. Like, I mean, there is a lot of great digital detox activities, because the problem today is that, of course, we are spending a lot of time in front of our screen during the work time, but we are also doing it during the personal time. So I'm sure that we can get a better balance if we are disconnecting a lot during our personal life. You had a lot of really nice solutions concerning emails. I would just like to insist on 3 really effective solutions. The first thing concerning email is I suggest that you should look your email box only 3 times a day. I know it's hard, but it's the only way to stop the multitasking. Because if you are looking to your email box all every like 10 minutes or every 30 minutes, you are all the time doing multitasking. And my recommendation is to look at it 3 times a day. It could be like 3 times 1 hour, or 3 times 1 hour and a half. It depends on the number of email you receive every day. But if you can't do it 3 times, try to do 4 times. But the main things is like stop doing multitask if you can. A second really good tips concerning email is, and you said it just before, when you are writing emails to someone, it's complicated. You have a lot of trouble to understand each other. Please stop email and take your phone, do a quick video meeting, because like that you can have probably have a good conversation. It could be like a small conversation, but it will be like really more effective than a lot of emails. And the last one, and Marie, you were talking about it just before, the last tips concerning email is try to because you feel angry or you feel stressed when you receive a lot of email, but we are receiving a lot of email, but we are also sending a lot of emails. So if you try to limit the number of people you put in your emails at 3 people, it doesn't work all the time, but it works like 80% of the case. You will see that you will really receive less email in return, and also that you will think more, okay, does these people need this information or not? And this is really interesting exercise. Like, if you can just leave this my talk with one advice, it will be this one, and it's like I mean it's like a quick win advice. You should like delete all of your notifications. I mean, when I say all, it's like all of your notifications. Personally, I just keep the agenda. It's the only notification I get in all of my devices, because I'm really happy to know that I have a business call or a training in 10 minutes. But all of the other notifications are totally not existing in my work. Of course, you should start with the pop-up of emails, which is really a big distraction during your work. So you can go on Google how to delete notifications on Outlook. It's like it will be done in 2 minutes. You can do the same on Teams. On Teams, you can perhaps keep notification for the people who send you some urgency task. You know, most of the time it's like 2 or 3 people. They are always the same. most of the time it's like I don't know, like a big director or I don't know, like a colleague from the supply chain, and these people are sending you the urgency tasks. So for these people, you can keep perhaps the notification, even if I think that the best way to talk about an urgency task is to do it by phone, because Teams, it's like it's not the best channel to make an urgency communication. So I encourage to use your phone. So, and it's the same on your smartphone. You can delete all notification. It's very easy. You go to center of notification and you delete it one by one. In some smartphone, you can delete all at the same time. But please don't forget that notification is the technology, is your device who is calling you and say, hey, you have a message. Hey, you have a WhatsApp message, an Instagram. So please be careful with that, because you will see, if you delete all your notification, you will see like within a week that you will be like more focused and more efficient during your work. And I was talking before about how smartphones are has a lot of health issues, and especially during our nighttime. When a good advice is like stop to use your smartphone as an alarm clock, because if you are using your smartphone as an alarm clock, you will probably look at it before sleeping, and it will perhaps will have some consequences on your sleep, on your night. Perhaps if you have an insomnia, you will wake up in the middle of the night and check your mobile, which is not the best way to go back to sleep. And in the morning, I'm sure there is a better way to start the day than to go to see a stressing email or a very bad news. And we have a lot of bad news for a long time now. So maybe a good tips would be like, stop to use your smartphone as an alarm clock, buy a real alarm clock and put your smartphone in another part of your room, or even better in another room. I would just like to make a small focus on online meetings, because we are doing a lot of online meetings nowadays. So you can, there is a lot of best practice. You can, of course, take the best practice of offline meetings, because they are the same basically, and it works also online. So like you need to have not too much people in the meeting. My advice is like to have a maximum 6 or 7 people. You need to have perhaps someone who is the timekeeper. One of the people assisting at the meeting can take notes and then send the notes to all the participants, and also to the people who cannot attend the meeting. My recommendation is to do like 45 minutes meeting, because if you do 1 hour meeting, you will be late for your next meeting. You don't have the time to take a small break. You don't have the time to answer an urgent email, or to reply to an urgent call. So if you do 45 minutes meeting, you will have the time between 2 meetings to make a break or to do urgent matters. Yeah, like, I mean, there is a lot of best practice concerning meetings, and I'm sure you know a lot of them. But the new best practice concerning online meetings, I mean, first, you should put the video a lot, because if you don't put the video, you don't have, if you don't put your camera, you don't have all of the non-verbal communication, and the communication is less efficient. And also, because we have too much meetings, too much online meetings, it's really important to start to say no. Because if we say yes to 7 or 8 meetings per day, we don't have the time to work on our emails. We don't have the time to reply to our Teams message, and we don't have the time to do our deep work. So this is not productive, and it can be really tiring. So my advice is, if you have too much meeting, if you have too many meetings, sorry, if you have only 2 or 3 meetings per day, you can go to your meetings, of course. But if you have too many meetings, try to ask yourself, okay, if I'm sick and if I cannot go to this meeting, is this meeting will be okay without me or not? If the answer is yes, you can I mean, it's okay if you don't go to the meeting. Because if you are doing 8 meetings per day, and if you never have the time to do your emails and your deep work, at the end, I'm sure you will get very tired, and you can probably also have other health issues. So yes, my recommendation also is to try to put a boundary between your personal and your professional life. I can give you a quick advice concerning it, because it's really hard when you are working at home. You don't have the transportation, which is like I mean the SAS. I mean, it's like I don't know the term in English, but it's like the
transition, basically.
The transition between your personal and your professional life. So but when you are working at home, you don't have this transition. So you can do every day, you can put your professional mobile and your professional computer somewhere. I mean, you can put it in your desk. You can put it in your I don't know the term in English, a tiroir.
In your drawer.
In your drawer. Thanks, Mary. You can put it in the drawer and lock it, and you will go back on the next morning, and you will can open your drawer and take your mobile and your computer again. And you can do this kind of transition also during the weekend. Put in your drawer your professional mobile and computer on Friday late afternoon, and you open it only on Monday morning. And like this, you will have this kind of a small transition. I mean, it's like a ritual. And if you have your emails on your personal mobile, my advice is to delete your email apps, because why do you need your professional emails on your personal mobile? You are at home, so when you are working, you are in front of your computer anyway, so you don't need to get your Teams and your emails on your personal mobile. Okay, and so just to finish with that, I really encourage you to try all of these tips, and it's really important also to measure your progress. So you can use screen time, you can use space and moments, for example, to have a better understanding of your digital habits on your smartphone. You can also use My Analytics, which is a Microsoft product, which is really interesting, because like this you can measure how many time you are spending doing emails, how many times are you writing emails during meetings, so how many times per day are you basically multitasking. So it's really interesting to measure what are you doing online on your mobile and on your computer. Like this, you can progress. And if you see that the problem is Instagram or Facebook, you can put Facebook in a folder which is really far from your main screen. You can also delete Facebook from your mobile, and you will see that if you only use it on your computer, you will spend less time on your on Facebook. You can also put your screen in black and white. So this is a bit extreme, but it works. Instagram and Facebook are less sexy in black and white. You will spend less time on it, I'm sure. So there is a lot of things that you can try. Personally, I don't have any social network on my mobile, and I am only using LinkedIn and Facebook on my computer. And of course, I don't use it a lot. I'm using perhaps 30 minutes per day LinkedIn and 30 minutes per week Facebook. So and LinkedIn is basically a lot for my job, so it's a part of my job anyway. So yeah, and my partner is more extreme. He deletes all of his social network, because he studied how the hyperconnectivity is bad for our brain. So he quit everything. He asked some company like Facebook to ban him forever, but it's a bit extreme, but it works. At least you don't spend any time anymore on a social network. So yeah, I would just like to finish my talk about what Into the Tribe can do for your teams, for your colleagues. We are basically doing workshops on this topic, how to get better digital habits. We are also doing workshops on how to increase your focus, how to reduce your stress level, how to be more creative, how to be more efficient and increase your well-being at work, especially now during remote work. We have also a workshop concerning how to manage when you are working in remote. Some of my colleagues are really better in English than me, so I'm sorry again for my level in English, but I have some fluent colleagues who are talking now all over the world. And we are also providing inspiring talk, as I told you at the beginning, just to perhaps try to boost your teams, to help them stay motivated. And we are also doing team building online, such as escape game, murder party, quiz, blind test, wine testing, like a lot of kind of team buildings. I know it's better offline, but we are doing it now online because it's the only way to do it, and it can increase a little bit more the well-being at work. So thanks a lot for your attention, and I'm really here to answer your question if you have, and please find here my contact details. So if you are interested more about this topic and our solutions, please feel free to contact me.
You have now reached the end of April 2021 webinar recording proposed by Munich HR AfterWork. We have actually removed the Q&A session of this presentation to protect the personal data of all of our participants. Thank you for your interest in this format and for having watched the replay.